What's up, guys? Quadron here, bringing you another hero guide. Today we're going to be talking about Ember Spirit. We're going to go over his abilities, how to properly combo them and level them. We're going to be looking at how several pro players level Ember Spirit and how I recommend leveling him based on my own current analysis, as well as the different item choices that you can go with him. There's not really so much of a set in stone build for Ember Spirit. It's kind of variable, and it kind of depends also on what you need versus the heroes that you're facing. So with that said, let's get into his abilities right now. Alright, his first ability is called Searing Chains. It does an AoE anchoring of 2 random units around you, so this can be creeps or heroes. So if you want to have the most reliable stun, you always want to do it when there are only heroes around. So for example, if you can isolate the heroes, you'll have much higher success of using your Searing Chains. Now, your duration is either 2 seconds or 3 seconds, depending on what level you have, and the damage goes up or down significantly, especially on the last 2 levels. The first level is only 80, 120, 240, and then 300 on the 4th level. That's why I recommend maxing Searing Chains early on, especially before Sleight of Fist. That being said, let's go ahead and show you an example of how to use this. So I run up here, press my Q, and it randomly selects those 2, so one of them's going to die there. Now you can combo this with your other ability, Sleight of Fist. So for example, let's say this guy is let's say this is an enemy hero running away from me, and I want to lock him down so I can catch up. So I can use my Sleight of Fist here and chain them from a really far distance. This makes your Sleight of Fist really good early game. So that being said, you just saw me use Sleight of Fist. That's the second ability. This does half damage to creeps and bonus damage to heroes depending on how much you level it up. Now level 1 has a very tiny radius, cast radius, and as you level it up it gets bigger and bigger. So right now it's at level 4, which is very large. This does half damage to creeps, so if I attack creeps, you'll notice it does very little damage to creeps. So you don't farm early creeps with this at all, and it's really hard to last hit with this. It's still possible, but for example, I do 118 damage, but in the early game, let's say I do 60, I'm only going to be hitting creeps for 30. So you have to wait to the very, very tip of the creep dying to be able to last hit with this for creeps. Now, the important thing is that this 120 bonus damage couples very well with things like a desolator, for example, because the bonus hero damage goes through and increases based on the minus armor. Or, for example, a Daedalus, the Daedalus will crit on that extra 120. So, for example, if you have a crystalis and you only, say, normally hit for 150, you'll be critting on 150 plus 120, so you'll be critting on 270, 175% of that. You're talking, I don't know, 450, 475 for a very early crystalis in like the 15-minute mark. So you can do lots of right-click damage with this with some very early damage items such as a Daedalus, crystalis, desolator, those kinds of items. There's also one trick that I forgot to mention. You can use a Shadow Blade coupled with Sleight of Fist, and I don't know if they'll keep this in the game or not. I think they will. But basically, Shadow Blade gives you 150 bonus damage on your first attack coming out of invisibility. Well, when you're in Sleight of Fist, you're invulnerable. And so if you use your Shadow Blade right as you're fading, and then use Sleight of Fist right as you're fading from your Shadow Blade, you will do bonus damage. So that time I did not do it properly. You'll notice that I did only 68, 69 damage per troll. Now if I do it properly, you'll notice I come out of the Sleight of Fist invis, so that's one indication that you did it properly. But also, I did 219 damage, 222 damage, and 205 damage. Now, against an actual hero, that is going to be 150 bonus damage from the Shadow Blade, 120 bonus damage from Sleight of Fist, plus whatever normal damage you do, and it does full damage. So, in this situation, you'd be talking 170 bonus damage with the Shadow Blade. And then you also come out of it invis. So, really good. Another great item that combines well with Sleight of Fist is Battle Fury. Whenever you do it, it actually will cleave in the area around each unit, and it cleaves in a random direction, but it does exceptional amounts of damage, especially if you have like 2 Battle Furies and a Daedalus, for example. You'll be doing tons of cleave damage if there are multiple heroes stacked around each other or lots of creeps around the heroes. And so yeah, you can do tons of extra damage with a Battle Fury. Flame Guard is his third ability, which shields him from magic damage as well as dishing out magic damage. Now, in the early game, at level 1, it only absorbs 50 damage, but at level 2, it jumps up to 4 times that, up to 200 damage. So that level 2 is a huge step up. Most early game nukes are less than 200. So, in my opinion, getting level 2 up on this as soon as possible is crucial, not only for his survivability, but for his ability to continually deal out damage. Now, the damage per second jump up from 30 to 40 is really not that big. What's a bigger deal is the fact that the duration goes up from 8 to 12. So at the second level, it goes up from dealing 240 damage up to 480 damage. Now you're talking about being able to potentially kill a hero if you can land, for example, Searing Chains, and then run in with your Flame Guard, and you're just going to do tons and tons of damage. And this is going to be particularly troublesome for heroes that cannot dispel your shield with, for example, a big nuke. At max level, it can do up to 1200 damage AoE and lasts 20 seconds. Now, there's a 35-second cooldown on this. And so you're going to have to keep in mind there's going to be a 15-second downtime. And so you don't want to pop this before a team fight. And when you go into team fights, you always want to make sure you have this off of cooldown, because this effectively increases your HP by 500, which is just enormous. And it also does a huge amount of damage. Ember Spirit's ultimate consists of 3 fire remnants that gain charges every 35 seconds. And these last for 45 seconds. So right here, I throw this down, and I can jump to it. Okay, so, and this is global, so if I throw this down here, run back to base, or I TP back to base. Now, I can use this to heal up, get mana, regen, pick up items, whatever. I can jump instantly back into the fight, or go back to farming. This is really potent around the early levels, for example, right after you finish a gank, or you need to refill your bottle. And this also is one of the reasons why getting a bottle on Ember Spirit is so powerful, because you can so easily refill it and return back to lane. So really, really powerful ability for just simply farming, re-getting his mana and HP up. That said, you can do tons of damage with this, especially at level 6, where you can do the 300 damage nuke in addition to your own Searing Chains and Flame Guard. So I went ahead and watched several games from Liquid TC, Sing Sing, and a game from Mirlini. And I was particularly interested in seeing how they skilled their heroes. And almost always they skilled their Flame Guard first, followed by level in Searing Chains. And sometimes they went Sleight of Fist, so a 1-1-1. Other times they would go for a second level in Flame Guard before getting a level of Sleight of Fist. My recommended skill build is getting a level in either Flame Guard or Searing Chains. If you're not planning on getting First Blood, if you want to just go straight to the lane, then I would recommend getting a level in Flame Guard first, and then getting a level in Searing Chains. Now, if you've got like a Mirlini on your team, or someone who has got a good stun, or you're setting up a tri-lane kill on a dual lane, for example, then I recommend getting Searing Chains first, because it'll allow you to have that additional lockdown that you need to potentially get a kill. So, that being said, I would recommend either getting Searing Chains or Flame Guard as your first 2 levels, and then getting your 3rd level in Flame Guard. Now, the main reason to get Flame Guard twice is to give you that extra magic absorb shield, and as well as increased duration that allow you to potentially get kill and dominate your lane. So they make one mistake, they get caught out with a stun, suddenly they're running back to their tower, and they're going to die before they even get back to their tower, because Flame Guard just does so much damage. Then, as your 4th level, I recommend getting a level of Sleight of Fist. This is going to allow you to pull off a combo where you throw Searing Chains and your Sleight of Fist together to catch somebody out, for example, if you're ganking, or if you're trying to catch someone who's escaping back towards their tower. And so this is really not about the right click. You get 1 level of Sleight of Fist to just give you the extra damage potential of Searing Chains, catching them with the combo. Then I recommend getting your 4th level in Flame Guard. And then, obviously, actually that's your 5th level. Get your 5th level in Flame Guard. And then get your ulti. And then max Flame Guard. And then proceed to max Searing Chains. And then Sleight of Fist. Now, I did see some people only get 3 levels in Searing Chains and leave it at that. And the main reason for that is because it gives you that 3-second stun ensnare duration. It's not a stun. Ensnare duration. While they're ensnared, they can attack and they can cast spells, so you got to keep that in mind. But I recommend maxing Searing Chains first, simply because it'll give you that extra 60 damage on 2 potential targets, which I think is way more valuable than getting your Sleight of Fist. So another level in Sleight of Fist. The only time where it might be more valuable is if this was 3 and this was 4, and so that's only 1 level where it would be more valuable, whereas there's 3 levels where this is more valuable. That probably doesn't make any sense to you guys, but let's move on. Obviously, get your ulti whenever possible and get stats whenever possible. So, so that's my recommendation for how to build the hero. Let's move on to how to play him in the early game and transition into the mid and late game. Okay, so here I am laning against a Nyx and a Sven coming up. Also notice how I'm doing a creep block, but I'm letting the range creep through. The idea of this is that the range creep is now going to die, and my lane is going to be ultimately pushed towards my tower, which will guarantee me farm and prevent me from being denied farm, especially since the Warlock was kind of late getting to the lane. Now, this being said, these lanes are actually kind of ideal for an Ember Spirit in terms of a duo lane. Having a range support against 2 melee is good for me, because it means that my range support is going to be able to harass the enemy and do damage to them, allowing me to farm much more effectively than, for example, if the enemy was 2 ranged and I only had 1 range support. I would have a lot harder time farming. Those 2 guys are going to be able to deny me, harass me all day. So ideally, this is a good lane setup. Honestly, in a perfect world, you'd have a like kind of a solo bounty hunter. Now I'm going aggressive with the flame shield. I did dodge the stun, and I realized that the creep wave was on me, so there's no way we were going to be able to kill. So I just went ahead and backed up, but did harass, kind of threatened to go for a kill. If we were level 2 right there, I think we get the kill because I could throw out my Searing Chains and actually snag Sven. Okay, now I wanted to notice how I'm going to run up to the right and try to get the Searing Chains. And the idea is you want to isolate whatever hero it is that you want to pop your Searing Chains on. Okay, so now I see that they're both low. I decide to go for a kill here. I managed to dodge the Nyx stun. And like this is pretty huge because it means that my Flame Guard is not going to go down even if Sven were to try to go on me. And my level 3 Flame Guard just does so much damage that they're not able to handle it. Now, I never thought that I would be getting mana boots on this particular hero because late game you're going to be doing lots of DPS. But I was watching TC play, and he basically built mana boots every single game, and it kind of shocked me because I never thought that would actually be a good item pickup. But the simple fact is, if you want to be able to combo your abilities, and there are very low cooldown abilities, especially with Searing Chains and Sleight of Fist, then you need to have that mana pool. So his answer to that is getting mana boots early, and basically that gives you tons and tons of mana. Now I just used my ulti, throw down the Fire Spirit, and teleported back to get my health and mana all the way up. And so now I've got tons of mana and HP to do what I need to do. Alright, so now Chen is being gone on by 3 heroes. So I pop my Flame Guard. I actually get hit by the Sven Stun, which is really unfortunate because it does tons of damage to me. So it cancels my Flame Guard, otherwise my Flame Guard would be killing these guys right now. Pop my Magic Stick, use my ulti again, doing AoE damage, and good thing Nyx didn't follow him. I do a little bit of body blocking. I should have kept body blocking him, honestly. Right-click, body block, right-click, body block. I think I could have gotten this kill a little bit easier, but I don't quite have enough mana to use my last ulti charge, which is really unfortunate for me. Warlock does get the last kill, and I do get away alive, so it all turned out really well. But that being said, I would not have been able to come close to fighting this without my mana boots. Now Storm Spirit is coming for me, so I TP out to get my mana up. So I have my Ember Spirit there, so that way I can always instantly jump back And so I'm just recharging my life points right now in the fountain. And really well played by Invoker there, picking off the Storm Spirit. So I'm back now, and we're chasing. And I can use my Sleight of Fist, okay, or I can use my ulti. Now I'm chaining them. Use my Sleight of Fist. And still doing tons of damage. Now I'm going to kite him while I do Radiance Burn. And use my ulti to jump back in, get the right click, and get out. So in the middle of a team fight, I managed to go back, get healed, and come back and kick some more ass. And resulting in a 5-kill spree that my team ended up getting. Now it looks like Storm Spirit's going on me. I use my ulti to get away. Okay guys, now I'm approaching an Earthshaker. I do have my ulti with 2 charges up. And so this is going to be basically how to initiate into a fight as Ember Spirit. So I pop my Flame Guard before I go in. You throw out your Spirit and then you go to it. That does damage. Now I use my Sleight of Fist. Use my Searing Chains. He does manage to stun me. Now I'm going to try to just go ahead and drop another ulti Spirit and jump into it, which would have instantly killed him basically. But he does manage to get the stun off on me. But my Flame Guard just does too much damage. Okay, so here we are in the firmly into the mid game. Ursa has finally gotten Roche, and we did not stop him, which is too bad. Now notice how I'm kiting him. I initially threw out my Searing Chains from a distance until he started to run away, then I went up to right-click him. And I am trying to be very careful to not go in on him too much. Great Echo Slam by Earthshaker, and it immediately dispels my Flame Guard, so I no longer have Flame Guard. Now, Sven's coming in, he stunned me. Ursa's back up. Things are not looking so great. I immediately throw out all 3 spirits and jump into them, and it does a big burst damage, which is able to get the kills before I die, which is very important. Ember Spirit is more of a damage over time kind of hero, except for his ultimate, which is a much more burst damage oriented ability. It honestly doesn't do that much damage, only 300 at level 1 up to 600 when it's maxed out. But it allows you to, for example, if you know you're about to die, you can either get away or do a lot of damage really quickly like I did just there. Okay, so here we are at the next team fight. This time I'm going to use my only charge to initiate into a Storm Spirit. Immediately throw out my Searing Chains, right-click, and then use my Sleight of Fist to finish him off. Now I don't have another ultimate charge, a Spirit charge, for 1 second. And I don't know which way Ursa went, so I guessed that way. I guessed wrong. And I don't think I'm able to catch up to him here. Let me just speed this up for just a moment. I'm trying to do as much damage as possible. And remember, you want to kind of kite back. Otherwise, you're just going to get caught out. And my Sleight of Fist was up just in time to get the finish off. So, how do you want to build Ember Spirit? First of all, obviously, you're going to want to get a magic stick. Get your boots up. Now, boots, you have 2 major choices. You either get mana boots or phase boots. If you go phase boots, you get a bottle. Mana boots, obviously, are going to increase your mana pool tremendously, which is going to help a lot. And if you go mana boots, you may be able to get away with not getting a mana pool increasing item such as drums or like a point booster. So once you have your boots bottle wand or just mana boots wand, I recommend going into a BKB or a point booster or drums. Drums is probably the most common item to go into, so if you're in doubt, drums is always good. It'll help your team and all that stuff. So once you have kind of this endurance item, that's the highly recommended first item, drums, point booster, BKB. You go for a damage item now. So a Desolator, a Daedalus, a Maelstrom, a Battle Fury. All 4 of those are really amazing. Battle Fury especially is great in the late game. For a first damage item, I feel like you want to go for a Desolator, a Crystalis, or a Maelstrom. I feel like those are the top 3 choices. Battle Fury is going to be more for late game in my opinion. And obviously finishing up a Daedalus is just, it brings out tremendous damage potential. You finish that Daedalus early and you're going to be critting for 850, 900, 1,000, and late game you're going to crit for 1,300 once you have a desolator, daedalus, and battle fury up, for example. You're going to be critting for a lot. And you're going to potentially crit the entire enemy team. Probably not the entire enemy team, but let's face it, it does a shit ton of damage. Alright guys, that's it for the Ember Spirit guide. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be bringing you a Earth Spirit guide in the near future. That is a hero that I am looking to tackle. And please post your thoughts and comments down below. I will be doing more of a game-by-game analysis of pro players in the future. I think that'll honestly be a lot easier to do than doing it this format, but please give me your feedback on which format you like better. So that's it, guys. Quadron signing out. Don't forget to subscribe, like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, but I don't have a Twitter yet, but I will probably soon. Actually, I think I do have a Twitter. Yeah, I do have a Twitter. I don't know what I'm thinking. Alright. Peace out, guys. I will see you guys soon.